This one hurts a lot of hearts. The Lion King does fail the Bechdel test. Hi everybody, welcome to my new YouTube channel. I'm so happy that you found me here. Make sure to subscribe before you forget. I'm gonna start posting videos regularly every week now that I have this channel up and running. Today we're gonna be talking about the Bechdel test. If you've seen on TikTok, the Bechdel test is a very basic feminist test for movies. For a movie to pass the Bechdel test, it has to accomplish 3 things. The first thing is that this movie has to have 2 women characters who have a name. That shouldn't be too hard, right? We'll see. The second thing is that these 2 named women characters have to have a conversation with each other. They can't only be talking to men in the movie, they have to actually interact with each other. And the third criteria is that they have to talk about anything other than a man. Hypothetically, given these criteria, it should be very easy for a movie to pass the Bechdel test. Your movie could be 3 hours long, and technically one tiny conversation between 2 characters could get you to passing. It also means that movies that failed the Bechdel test have failed to do something very simple. Either their characters are primarily men, or the women in their movie are always centered around other men in the movie for their character development, which is usually not super ideal. As a disclaimer though, there are obviously circumstances in which movies can be amazingly feminist, amazingly social justice oriented without happening to pass the Bechdel test based on the specific directing of the movie, right? There are some movies where there's not a lot of dialogue. There's some movies where there's not a lot of character interaction. There's some movies where there's not a lot of characters, period. But in a lot of the movies that fail the Bechdel test we talk about today, we'll find that there's really no good reason other than sexism that they don't pass. So we're going to talk about a list of movies that do and don't pass, and some that are very much on the brink, that are sort of left up to personal interpretation. Let's talk about kids movies first, and the kids movies that do not pass. Start with Ratatouille, an absolutely beloved child film that unfortunately does fail the Bechdel test. In Ratatouille, there are actually only 2 women characters who have a name. There is the food critic, who is only seen in one scene of the movie, and then there is one woman chef at the restaurant. These 2 characters never interact, and thus they don't have a chance to talk about anything other than a man, so it fails the Bechdel test. Next up, we have The Lion King. This one hurts a lot of hearts. Unfortunately, The Lion King does fail the Bechdel test. There's one conversation between named women characters, but it does involve Simba and whether he is allowed to go somewhere. Jump scare. Next, we have Toy Stories 1 and 2. Are named women characters in both of these movies. Unfortunately, they don't talk to each other about anything other than a man. Movie Up also hurts a lot of hearts. Up unfortunately fails the Bechdel test. I believe Ellie is the only named woman character in Up, therefore it's not possible for her to talk to another woman character because there simply are no other women for her to talk to. There are kids movies that fail. I'm gonna look at my list. Avatar does not pass the Bechdel test. Monsters Inc. does not pass the Bechdel test. That one's not super shocking to me because Boo is one of the only, if not the only, named woman. Bambi does not pass. Aladdin does not pass. The Jungle Book does not pass. Ooh, Luca, the new film Luca, unfortunately does not pass the Bechdel test. There are no instances in Luca where 2 women talk to each other, even though there are a decent number of named women characters. They only come into the film when they are talking to other men. Those are the little kid movies that unfortunately don't pass the Bechdel test. I want to touch on some movies for slightly older people that also don't pass. So Star Wars fails the Bechdel test. Sorry. We're going to talk specifically about Star Wars Episode 5. Princess Leia is the only named woman in Star Wars Episode 5, therefore there's no other woman for her to talk to about anything other than a man, and it fails. Lord of the Rings trilogy, all 3 movies also fail the Bechdel test. This one often doesn't surprise people, but what might surprise you is that there is literally not a single scene in the entirety of the trilogy where 2 women characters have any conversation. That's crazy to me. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, I want to say, is that the 5th Harry Potter movie? I'm not positive, but the Goblet of Fire also doesn't pass. Hermione is obviously an awesome character in all of the Harry Potter movies, but that film still does not pass the Bechdel test. Boo. Now we're going to talk about movies that do pass the Bechdel test. Off with a comeback from Pixar, Toy Story 3 does pass. They fixed themselves. A lot of the old princess movies do not pass the Bechdel test, but there are a couple of old Disney princess movies that do. For example, Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty both pass. Anna, unsurprisingly, also passes with flying colors, amazing new Disney movie for kids. Frozen passes as well. There are a bunch of conversations between Elsa and Anna that have nothing to do with men. The movies that pass, I'm gonna look at my list again. We have Matilda does pass the Bechdel test. Annie, that new live action version, passes the Bechdel test, iconic. Brave passes. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that 2005 version with Johnny Depp, does pass the Bechdel test. How to Train Your Dragon, Zootopia, Raya and the Last Dragon, and Lilo and Stitch all pass. There are a couple of movies that are very squarely on the fence for a lot of people. There's a lot of debate in parenting and feminist communities about whether these movies should be considered to pass or fail. So I want to also talk briefly about those and why they are so controversial. This movie is Finding Nemo. So Finding Nemo only has 5 named women characters. They are Darla, Pearl, Deb, Peach, and Dory. There are exactly 2 lines exchanged between Peach and Deb, and that is it, between 2 women characters in the entire movie. Deb wants to know what the dentist is treating, and Peach says it's a root canal. The conversation is about the tooth problem and technically not about a man, but it has to do with the man who is the dentist and the client who appears to be a man as well. It's also such a short line that some people say that it shouldn't count. Up to you whether you think that Finding Nemo passes or not, but I will say it's fairly unimpressive for such a long movie, regardless, to only have 2 lines of conversation between 2 women characters. Mermaid is also considered to be on the fence. There are times when Ursula and Ariel are having conversations between each other that have to do with getting on land, but some will argue that the purpose of getting on land, since it was for a man, does not count as a man-free conversation. So there are folks who say The Little Mermaid passes and folks who say it doesn't because that conversation was implicitly about a dude. Mulan is also in a little bit of a controversy here. There are a lot of people who will say that Mulan passes the Bechdel test with flying colors. There are others that point out a contradiction. So specifically, Mulan and her mother have conversations when Mulan is preparing to be chosen as a bride for a potential suitor. So they're talking about getting ready types of things, but folks say that because the conversation implicitly surrounds getting ready to meet a man, that the film should not pass the Bechdel test. I'll let you decide on that one as well, but there are folks on both sides of the aisle there. I emphasize again that the Bechdel test does not necessarily suggest that a movie is feminist or not. You probably saw some amazing feminist movies that may or may not pass the Bechdel test, and you saw some very not feminist movies that definitely pass. So it's not a perfect way to tell whether a movie is forward-thinking or progressive, but it is a sort of interesting way to measure screen time for women in an industry where women are often massively underrepresented. If you liked this first YouTube video, I'm going to be posting more in the coming weeks. I want to briefly say that a reason you should consider subscribing to me on YouTube is that I am a broke college student. I absolutely adore making TikToks for y'all. They've been doing well. I'm super excited about that. And TikTok simply does not adequately compensate its creators, but YouTube does compensate its creators outstandingly. And so I'm trying to make a little bit of a switch over to YouTube in order to allow myself to keep spending as much time on content creation as I currently do. I can only really keep putting in this much time and energy if I'm able to make some money off of what I'm doing. And so simply by watching this video, you have massively supported me as a creator, and that is all I can ask for. So I appreciate it. A favor, since this is one of my first videos, if you liked it, do click the thumbs up below. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to, again, subscribe. I will see you all at my next video or on TikTok. Have a great rest of your day.